While the red button holds politicians back from a global nuclear catastrophe, there are no such constraints on the use of hypersonic missiles. Therefore, the leading military powers around the world are actively mastering increasingly perilous hypersonic technologies. So, why exactly hypertechnology is key in future global warfare? And which secret projects are China, the US, and Russia currently working on? Let's start by reminding ourselves that hypersonic refers to anything moving faster than 5 times the speed of sound, which is roughly 3,835 miles per hour, or Mach 5. Actually, we were already trying to reach that speed during World War II. The first detailed project of hypersonic weapons was Silbervogel, Silver Bird. This bird was designed as a strategic weapon for Nazi Germany, intended to strike distant targets like the US. Unlike traditional ballistic missiles, which follow a parabolic trajectory, Silbervogel was meant to follow a suborbital trajectory. This would let it travel through the upper atmosphere where air resistance is lower. As a result, it could reach higher speeds compared to ballistic missiles. The goal was to achieve speeds up to Mach 18. However, Nazi Germany's defeat and technology issues halted the project. The concept of a supersonic aircraft caught the attention of both Soviet and American politicians. In the United States, the Boeing X-20 Dinosaur program was born from this idea. It aimed to build a manned spacecraft that could do 3 big jobs at once: intercept, reconnoiter, and bomb. Despite significant investments and cutting-edge technology, the Dinosaur program was canceled due to shifts in strategy and priorities within the American space program. In the Soviet Union, they were developing a bomber aircraft called the Spiral. The main goal of such an aircraft was to deliver nuclear weapons over long distances without being detected by the enemy. The project aimed to employ a hypersonic exchange flight apparatus, HEFA technology, which would speed up a bomber aircraft to hypersonic speeds, then make a brief ascent into space using the principle of aerospace gliding. However, due to technical and financial difficulties, the project was also stopped. Overall, there were many projects, and most of them either remained military secrets or evolved into space programs, Space Shuttle and Buran. But what developers of hypersonic weapons have discovered is this intriguing physical phenomenon. When an object moves through the atmosphere at hypersonic speeds, it becomes enveloped in a layer of plasma. And here's where all the brilliant ideas and innovations got stuck for decades. Back then, there weren't any materials that could withstand such extreme temperatures and friction. Another problem arose. Plasma doesn't let radio signals pass through. Managing remotely wouldn't work out, just like no one could endure a flight inside a blazing furnace. As technology advanced, at the beginning of the 21st century, talk of hypersonic speeds resurfaced, prompting countries to join the race for hypersonic weaponry. So, what are they developing? Conventionally, all modern hypersonic developments can be divided into 3 areas. The first is hypersonic missiles. This weapon looks like a regular missile, but is equipped with an engine that can accelerate it to hypersonic. The mentioned type of weapon isn't known for its long-distance range, but today it can reach up to 1,000 miles away and travel at speeds of Mach 5 to 8 and more. Such missiles are designed to quickly destroy the target, which prevents missile defense systems from preparing to intercept them. The modern missile defense systems have no chance when such a missile also maneuvers in flight. The second area includes hypersonic gliders. It's like a 2-in-1 weapon, where a rocket launches a glider into space, or near its edge, which then detaches and glides back to Earth at crazy hypersonic speeds. In this case, theoretically, the speed can already reach Mach 20, 13,000 miles per hour, or even higher. Getting intercepted by modern anti-missile systems is about as likely as winning the lottery. The third area focuses on hypersonic aircraft. These could be hybrid space planes or drones. While it's mostly theoretical for now, every so often we hear some good news about the early stages of their development. For instance, back in 2019, the British company Reaction Engines announced successful tests of an engine cooling technology system potentially paving the way for the creation of hypersonic aircraft. At the same time, back in 2013, Lockheed Martin's secretive Skunk Works division unveiled the SR-72 project, a drone intended to replace the legendary and fastest aircraft in the world, the SR-71 Blackbird. In 2017, developers announced they had finished the preparatory work and were ready to assemble the first prototype. Like all sensitive, promising developments, the project progresses in information silence. Let's take a look at what's already been put into metal and could very well be flying somewhere in the sky right now. Falcon HTV-2 by DARPA, the Hypersonic Glider Project. After facing several tests in the early noughties, It reached a peak of Mach 22 and went into archival status. The Boeing X-51, also known as the X-51 Wave Rider, has been flying since 2007. However, it did not go beyond a few prototypes. When things were going so great for Americans, to put it mildly, China tested more hypersonic weapons in just 1 year than the US did in a decade. That's what Michael Griffin, the Deputy Minister of Defense for Research and Development, stated back in 2018. This prompted Americans to ramp up and develop the long-range hypersonic weapon. This is an American hypersonic weapon project using a common hypersonic glide body, CHGB, with a range of more than 1,725 miles and a speed of about Mach 5. The glider itself is described as maneuverable, making it impossible to intercept. As part of the Congress report, the development was presented as a ground-based system with wheeled mobile launchers. In the 23rd, the first missiles were deployed in combat. The project has birds of a feather: air-launched rapid response weapon, ARROW, and conventional prompt strike, CPS, all of which are built on the CHGB glider and differ only in the missile adapted to the carrier. So ARROW is a program for launching missiles from aircraft, and CPS from submarines and ships. In one swift move, the US military has crafted a complete arsenal of hypersonic weapons, tweaking them gradually to fit various platforms. Besides, the USA also has a project for what they're calling a classic missile, the Hypersonic Air-Breathing Weapon Concept, or HAWK. At the end of 2023, all testing phases wrapped up, and now they're working on making a final version of a hypersonic missile for fighter jets and bombers. Here's another intriguing project: the American hypersonic missile called HALO, which stands for Hypersonic Air-Launched Offensive Anti-Surface Warfare. This should be a promising next-gen missile to equip US Navy destroyers aimed at taking out enemy ships. However, these missiles only exist as prototypes from Raytheon and Lockheed Martin, who are currently competing for a contract for large-scale production. In general, HAWK and HALO are cut from the same cloth. In recent years, the US has been heavily investing in hypersonic weapons. As an example, in the budget request for the 2022 fiscal year, $3.8 billion was allocated for hypersonic research. By 2023, $4.7 billion had already been spent on it. However, the Pentagon still hasn't received large-scale orders for this weapon. They haven't figured out exactly how they'll use it yet. After all, using hypersonic missiles instead of regular ones is just a waste. The official stance on hypersonic technology for nuclear weapons hasn't been announced yet, and it's uncertain whether it will be in the coming years. It's like with the first stealth aircraft. They first proved themselves in battle, and only then were they officially announced to the public. Therefore, the experiments are ongoing. Meanwhile, the competitors are wide awake. In 2015, France made it official. They're starting work on a new gen missile called ASN-4G. In the coming decade, a new weapon is poised to replace the ASMPA. This weapon packs a nuclear punch equivalent to 300 kilotons. The bomb dropped on Hiroshima was 15 kilotons strong. The key feature of ASN-4G is its speed of Mach 8. However, the missile still only exists on paper and isn't set to be deployed and manufactured until 2035. South Korea has been developing a hypersonic missile since 2004, and in 2022, they conducted the first trial of the HICOR missile. Koreans plan to arm it by the end of the decade. In Japan, just like in the USA, there are two hypersonic weapon systems in development. One is a missile system with a hypersonic glider called Hypervelocity Gliding Projectiles, HVGP, and the other is a hypersonic winged missile known as the Hypersonic Cruising Missile, HCM. Each system will be equipped with various warheads and will be able to hit both surface and ground targets. Research samples of new missile systems should emerge between 2024 and 2028. The Japanese army should receive new ammunition in the early 2030s. According to the BBC, Russia is developing 3 hypersonic weapon programs. Among them is the Avangard Strategic Planning Munition, launched by an intercontinental ballistic missile. The actual characteristics are unknown, but word has it there are around 10 of them. Also, we cannot but mention the infamous Zircon, from which the civilian population of Ukraine has suffered more than once. This hypersonic missile can be used as a weapon for anti-ship missions as well as for attacks on ground targets. The missile's strong suit is its flying speed, reaching Mach 7 to 9. Thus, when launched from the Black Sea, the missile can reach the capital of Ukraine in just a few minutes. The weak point is that the Zircon warhead weighs a little more than 30 pounds, pretty lightweight for such a beast. In return, turn, the older Kinzhal has a much more powerful 1,100-pound warhead, but the downside is that such a missile will not launch unless the MiG-31K accelerates to at least 1,200 miles per hour. As seen in the Russian-Ukrainian war, the Zircon and Kinzhal missiles can be shot down within the last few seconds before reaching their target, and it takes a specific PAC-3 missile from the Patriot system. And here's a scoop for you: China has been churning out hypersonic missiles in huge numbers, and it's got the United States feeling pretty jittery. It is known to be a glider that is accelerated by a solid propellant rocket. Americans were alarmed by the testing of this weapon in the 21st century. Then, the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the United States, General Mark Milley, likened this event to the launch of Sputnik, the Soviet Union's first significant success in its space program. First and foremost, because this glider can carry a nuclear payload and maneuver, it makes interception nearly impossible. In the 22nd year, a photo of a Chinese missile with the index 2PZD-21 surfaced. Unofficial sources dubbed it hypersonic, mainly due to its visual resemblance to the Russian Kinzhal. However, official information about China's armaments is unavailable due to censorship, which prevents any uncontrolled leaks of information about weapons and their development. In our video, we couldn't cover all the developments, but we aimed to highlight the brightest ones, indicating that the world is caught up in a hypersonic arms race. The next logical question is there any opposition to such hypersonic developments? Yes and no. Back in 2018, the US Department of Defense's Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, announced a program to develop interceptors for hypersonic gliders in the upper atmosphere, somewhere at an altitude of 70 kilometers. That program is still ongoing. In 2021, the Missile Defense Agency, MDA, inked contracts to develop interceptors for hypersonic weapons, and these developments are in progress. For example, in the 23rd year, the United States officially spent more than $200 million on a promising missile defense system. The European Union does not stay behind either. Back in 2019, the European Missile Consortium, MBDA, announced plans to create interceptor missile systems to tackle threats from their latest generation. Twister, timely warning and interception with space-based theater, is being developed as an advanced missile defense system. The claimed capabilities of the missiles will enable them to intercept hypersonic missiles, gliders, cruise missiles, and even stealth aircraft. The Twister system is set to be developed by 2030 and will serve as the primary air defense system for NATO countries in Europe. At the same time, interceptor missiles show promise, with plans for development on land, sea, even underwater, and in the air. What will be the outcome of this hypersonic race? Perhaps the destruction of the world, maybe a new world order. However, we'd love to see all these super technologies come to life in hypersonic planes, making it possible to travel between countries and continents in just minutes. Are you of the same opinion? Looking forward to your comments. Till next time.